Thanks for joining us. We are coming to you live tonight when outrage over the shooting death of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin continues to grip the nation. Today, Angela Corey, the special prosecutor appointed by Governor Rick Scott, said the investigation will proceed without a grand jury. Also, racial tensions flare after two white men allegedly go on a weekend shooting rampage in African-American neighborhoods. Were there warning signs? We're going to talk about the Tulsa shooting later on in the show. But first, no grand jury. What does that mean? Is it good news for Zimmerman, or does this latest news reveal nothing? Also, George Zimmerman launches a website asking for, get this, I told you I was going to tell you what he's asking for. He's asking for money. Now, is he worried that this case is going to go to trial, and that's what he's trying to raise money for? It's kind of creepy, but what does it mean for the case, for the city of Sanford, for you at home? Joining me tonight, Executive Director at Politic365.com, Jeff Johnson, CNN political analyst Roland Martin, and Trayvon Martin family attorney Daryl Parks. Daryl, I'll go to you first. No grand jury in the Trayvon Martin case. Does that matter, and how do you read that?
Well, I think no one should read anything negative into it. We believe all along that she probably, Angela Corey that is, would do a direct filing in this case. So her taking it away from the grand jury really means nothing, because as the state attorney, she has the power, after receiving all the evidence in the case, both before she was on the case and after, she's allowed to then come into and to file a direct file in this case and to charge George Zimmerman, which is what we want.
And Daryl, how about this website? He's asking for money, it seems like, to help raise funds for his potential legal costs, I guess. Do you have a feeling about what he's up to there? Does the family have any reaction to that? I mean, their son is dead, and he's raising money. Is there a bad feeling about all this?
No, we don't. I mean, Mr. Zimmerman realizes that he has to have a defense in this case because he probably will be charged. You may not know this, but I'm also president of the National Bar Association, so we advocate for open courts and for everyone to have their day in court. I think, you know, the manner in which he's going about it, that's his choice. But we want him to have a public trial, a fair trial, and to put on what he believes the case is. And we want the prosecutor to put on the case to defend the life of Trayvon Martin for being shot and killed by Mr. Zimmerman.
Roland, I want to go to you next. Daryl puts the plea out for an open trial, a fair trial. Do you think he's going to get that?
Well, of course. I do believe there is going to be arrest. And remember, from day one, what the family has been calling for was an arrest for there to be justice. Dr. Drew, this is why we are here at this point. It is because so many people were outraged that there wasn't an arrest. If the Sanford Police Department or even the Seminole County DA had actually arrested him, really, we would not have the outrage that we're actually having right now. And so, look, folks can say there's so many people who know about this case, but guess what? According to polling data, there are a lot of folks who don't know, who have not heard about this. And so I think we make these broad assumptions. I do believe that if he is indeed charged and it goes to a trial, that you can find a jury, and that's when he gets to put on his self-defense. The prosecution, they get to prosecute the case as well. That's what the family said from day one. Let's have that form of justice as opposed to him walking free.
And Roland, a lot of my African-American friends feel as though, you know, justice for African-Americans is not the same as for non-African-Americans. Do you think this case is going to just reconfirm all that, or is this going to allow us to work this through in a way that has people not feeling quite so put upon?
African-Americans always say, is it justice or just us? And when you think back to Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist, former slave, he always said power concedes nothing without a demand. When you think back to the Scottsboro Boys, when you think back to Medgar Evers trial, the 16th Street Baptist Church, when you think back to all of these different cases, Linnell Jeter in Dallas, you look at these individuals who are on death row, all of a sudden they have been exonerated because of DNA. African Americans have always said we have to deal with this. The Burge, cases in terms of beating confessions out of Chicago. And so African Americans have always felt that the justice system really bears down on us in a much different way. And so that's why you have people who are protesting. And so when you see people who are white or others who say, hey, let the system work itself out, as African Americans, we don't have that luxury.
I get that. I'm hearing that. And maybe I'm overly optimistic, but I keep hoping that this will help propel things in a positive direction rather than unwind things in a negative. Jeff, I want to go to you. You marched with students, I guess it was over the weekend. If the control room would help me out with this, I want to go to that footage where you marched with students who called themselves the Dream Defenders. They marched from Daytona Beach to the Sanford Police Station, about 40 miles. I'm going to show the audience this footage, then have you comment on it. You were actually there. Take a look.
Racism still exists, and injustice to the black community is still being done.
I think it's kind of symbolic. It reminds a lot of people of the Selma to Montgomery March.
We completely believe in the court system, and we believe that they're going to do their job. But in order for that to happen, the first steps have to take place, which is an arrest and a charge.
Jeff, what was the mood like with the students during the march?
Pretty incredible. I mean, to think that these were 40-plus students from all over the state of Florida that decided on a holiday weekend not to go home to spend Easter with their families, not to take advantage of a long weekend, to say, we feel so strongly about this case that we want to bring attention to it in our own way, and march from Daytona Beach to Sanford was a pretty incredible opportunity. And so the spirit was high. These are young people, some of whom had been activists before and addressed similar cases, and some who are coming to activism for the first time. And so the energy level was high. But Dr. Drew, what I think it shows is that there's this myth that young people around the country are apathetic. And so these are young people that, one, wanted to say that myth is false, but two, I think, are very interested not just in looking at the Trayvon case, but looking beyond it to say that this Trayvon issue is just indicative of what's happening in communities all over the country with police departments, what's happening oftentimes with mismanagement by prosecutors, and they don't want this to ever happen again in the dark.
Roland, you're shaking your head vigorously. You want to comment on that? Go right ahead.
Yeah, but Jeff and I, we talk all the time, and we're always, texting and emailing. And let me tell you something. Both of us have been getting, hits on our Twitter feeds when it comes to cases out of Austin, cases out of Atlanta, other parts of the country. It was on fire last Thursday and Friday. Even this case in Tulsa that you'll be talking about a little bit later, national media really wasn't paying attention, and folks were saying, here's what's going on. What you're seeing is that this generation is sitting here saying that we have to be like the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee was in the 1960s. That was young people driving that, 18, 19, 20 years old, John Lewis, Ella Baker, those kind of folks. And what they're saying is, you know what, we could have been Trayvon Martin. And they're saying we could have been living in a suburban neighborhood, gated community, and still somebody looks at us and makes a judgment. And so I do believe that you're going to see this go forward. This is not going to be a repeat of Gina 6, where it's all of a sudden there's a lot of attention, they go away. Young folks are saying we're sick and tired of this. So this new generation, black, Hispanic, white, Asian, are saying we've got to be in this thing together.
Yeah, I'm surprised, Jeff, you said they were really apathetic, because I'm experiencing them very different than apathetic. I'm feeling like there's a renewal kind of of activism. By the way, did you guys see Dale Hughley's commentary on Huffington Post? If you didn't, I strongly urge you to read it. Roland, you saw it. But, Jeff, I want to ask you one question before I go. You spoke with Angela Corey, the special prosecutor, today. What did she say to you?
Well, we were able to get her on the line with the students, and she said, I think, very similar to, I think what was important was, first she said that she was thankful that those students cared enough to be actively supporting Trayvon. But then she went on to talk about the fact that, I think like she said publicly, she wanted this case in her hands versus that of a grand jury. And then she said what I think is very important and I think very difficult. She said that it is going to take time. And it's going to take time for her to put together the strongest case that she can. It's going to take time for her to be able to deal with this. So patience is key, and that's difficult, I think, for a lot of us.